on the 17th of December, the first national standardized test for basic school pupils will begin. Basic 4 pupils will write the English language and literacy exams, followed by those who lower primary, who will write literacy, English language and mathematics. This is part of the new educational reforms introduced by the Education Ministry. Sector Minister Dr. Yosei Duchum gave further details at a news conference in Accra.
Standardized test is scheduled as follows. This year, we're only doing primary 4. But in the coming academic years, you're going to have primary 2, primary 4, primary 6 also done. And then we extend it to junior high school and high school eventually. What does it do for the nation? What it does for us is that if students in primary 4 take this assessment in English and mathematics and they don't do well, what it means is that we have to then do intervention in primary 5 and then assess them again in primary 6. Our goal is to make sure that we improve learning outcomes for students. And in order to do that, we need to know the situation of the students at any step of the way. So when you begin with primary 2 and you do your assessment and the students are not doing well generally, you have primary 3 to do intervention. If specific students are not doing well and others are doing so well, you also have critical data that will allow teachers to do interventions for those students. And those who are doing so well, there's opportunity for acceleration. So whichever way you look at it, this is the first bold attempt at ensuring that we know how our students are doing from primary 2, primary 4, all the way. Because of the pandemic, we decided that we'll focus this year on primary 4. The significance of primary 4 is that it aligns with the World Bank's learning poverty definition. The World Banks have something that they call the learning poverty, and they look at students at primary 4 or by age 10, and they look at how many of them can read at proficiency level. If you have students who cannot read at a proficiency level, they use that to measure the learning poverty of your country. Even before the pandemic, in sub-Saharan Africa, learning poverty was 87%. That 87% of our students could not read at proficiency level. So this is going to give us a critical data and a critical benchmark for the Ghana Education Service to begin to provide intervention for our students and begin to look at how we will improve learning outcomes. So the NST is going to generate data on student performance. It will help us address learning gaps, sometimes between students in one classroom or among students in one classroom, and then you look at between districts, between regions in the country. It's a rare opportunity for us to get real-time data that can be used for decision-making purposes. And then we will be able to identify and analyze variations in learner achievements, as I've indicated, by region, gender, location, and school type. Then it also helps us generate information for resource allocation. We also have an opportunity to obtain information that will be used for intervention and therefore use this data critically for policy making.
Let's get some perspective on this new curriculum, and joining me via Zoom is Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare. Kofi Asare, I'm grateful for your time. What are we going in for with this new standardized assessment? I mean, textbooks came in a bit late. I do not know if teachers have received their lesson guides, fully distributed to them. But for you, are the students well prepared, the pupils well prepared for this kind of exams?
We know the challenges that has occasioned the initial rollout of the new curriculum. It's been 2 academic years without textbooks. And so it is difficult for me to say that students are well prepared. But it is only the performance of the students and perhaps their teachers who will be in a better position to determine whether the students are adequately prepared or not. But so far as we are concerned, the situation of schools, public schools, not having textbooks in primary schools alone is a significant setback in their preparation for this examination. Having said that, a lot of teachers have been improvising and using the curriculum guide and other resource materials to facilitate teaching and learning. So that to the extent that that works may be the difference between preparedness of students or not. But I think that textbooks are so critical, textbooks are so fundamental in teaching and learning that its absence alone, poses a significant setback to the level of preparedness of students for this particular test.
For the delay in textbooks, do you know?
Pardon me?
What could be accounting for this delay, do you know?
Well, yeah, there were issues with content. We all witnessed the content issues that were raised by stakeholders in respect of the approved textbooks. So some content review had to be done. And there were issues with procurement delays. These, so far as I'm concerned, were the two factors that are accountable for the delay. Apart from that, it doesn't appear as if it was the original intention of government to roll out textbooks simultaneously with the curriculum. We decided to follow a history that hasn't helped us, a history where you roll out a curriculum and then after a couple of years you bring textbooks. That history hasn't helped us, but we decided to follow that, negative history or culture. And so I think that those are the reasons why we still don't have public textbooks in public basic schools. We've been given assurance that textbooks will be available in the next academic year. That is heartwarming to note. But in respect of the NST for primary 4, it is a matter of cautious optimism because according to the teachers, the lack of textbook has affected tremendously their work. Bearing in mind that post-COVID, it was a wholesale promotion for all primary 3 students to enter primary 4. And at that particular time, teachers were expected to teach. They were expected to catch up for the 2 terms that were lost in primary 3. And they were at the same time supposed to do the primary 4 teaching, all without textbooks, and other facilities, but mainly textbooks. And so these challenges can never be, a subject of can never be overlooked if you are gauging the preparedness of students for the NST.
Mr. Kofi, should we go back to where we were until we get what it takes to run this new curriculum?
Well, if you remember, at the launch of the primary school curriculum, we indicated that a good curriculum is as good as its implementation arrangement.
Definitely.
Meaning a good policy is as good as how it is implemented. It is not about being good in content or structure, or focus or strategy, but being good in its implementation. And so unfortunately, we haven't learned from the past, and a very beautiful curriculum for the primary schools. And then we, got up to a false start by starting to roll out the curriculum without the critical building blocks. It meant that we probably had bought a new BMW, but we were fueling it with, old petrol, or if you like, kerosene. That is the challenge we've had in respect of policy implementation in this country over the years. And the rollout of this curriculum, unfortunately, did not depart from the negative history of, poor policy implementation, even though the intentions, of these policies are very, very well positive. So that is the challenge we are having. I think that we recommended to government then that in future, we must follow what most states do in the US. In the US, for instance, when new curricula are being rolled out, what happens is that you don't begin implementing the new curriculum the very year the curriculum is adopted or approved. No. You phase the rollout. So you wait until the whole batch of students who are in school complete school. Then when they leave, you start implementing the curriculum. By that time, all the materials, all the resources required to adequately implement the curriculum should have been in place, tested enough, and ready for full rollout. That is what we need to do, and not to rush because of political reasons. We know that every administration has 4 years, and until you get an extension, you assume that everything you are doing, including all your reforms, must see the light of day within 4 years. That is why perhaps we have to rush this. But I think that we need to have a broader discussion about how we do our reform in respect of curriculum and roll them out. Because if we continue rolling out curriculum this way, we will always have problems with our curriculum, even though the content may be good, but then the implementation arrangements poorly, rolled out.
Be it as it may, the test will happen nevertheless. What do you envisage will happen by the end of these exams? Hello, Kofi? Hello, Kofi Asare, can you hear me? All right. Kofi Asare is Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. Kofi, can you hear me? If you can, I'm asking, what do you foresee the outcome of the examination to be? All right, so we lost him there, but he makes a critical point that we need to relook this curriculum because the teachers have complained that lack of textbooks have affected the preparation of the pupils towards this standardization test.